You didn't ask for it, but here we are.
We're your hosts. I'm Ari.
And I'm Kenzie. And this is Mamas Need Coffee. What did you order today?
I ordered a grande cinnamon caramel cold brew.
And how does that taste?
Like real coffee.
Real coffee? Are you calling my coffee fake?
A little.
Well, I ordered a venti iced caramel brulee with extra caramel drizzle.
Delicious.
Yeah.
So
I had to give this up during my pregnancy.
yeah. I'm not like a big coffee person, like where I feel like I need it every day, but I do enjoy it most days.
It was a big struggle. It was a big struggle when I was pregnant.
I do mostly enjoy my Dr. Pepper though.
Yep, me too. That's one of my top faves.
Bear with us. We have children with us. Anyways,
and dogs.
And you know, we're just figuring stuff out here as we begin
this journey.
As a recap to our last video, our introductions, we have two babies.
This is Leonidas. Hi. What do you want to say? So I can't remember. How did we find out that you were pregnant?
So I had been like really wanting to be pregnant, but I wasn't really like following the journey of it. And my app said that I was like 10, 11 days overdue.
Oh, I do.
And I mentioned it to you and a few other people. And you guys drove me to the Dollar Tree to get a pregnancy test, and I took it in a little child's bathroom.
I do remember that.
It immediately had 2 lines, and everybody was literally jumping for joy. I think I got the hardest hugs I've ever had that day.
That was a very exciting day. This was a work thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an exciting day.
It made it a good day.
Yeah, we did not want to be there at all.
I do remember finding out you were pregnant, but with a random trinket.
I did. I woke up. Okay, so there was a TikTok. I was also like super late, but I never had regular periods. I never had regular periods ever. So I was just like, it's not no big deal, you know. And then I mentioned something about spotting. Mm-hmm. And my other friend was like, yeah, you need to that's could be implantation bleeding. I'm like, what even is that?
Yeah.
What is that? So it's like, you don't know what that is? I'm like, no, never had that, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so I was going through TikTok, and I found a TikTok saying, you're going to find out you're pregnant on January 31st. So I was like, I'm just going to wait till January 31st, you know? So I took a test at 3:00 in the morning. And sure enough, it was positive.
Which is so funny because that was like a few days after my gender reveal.
Yep, it was right after that. And I didn't tell my husband. I just put the test away and I went back to sleep and I woke up and went to work and I ended up telling my best friend that same day.
Yeah.
With a sign that said, it's your turn, you're next, because it was you and then it was me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was crazy. But when I went to the doctor, I was, a month along? Yeah, I was like a month. So.
Yeah, because our babies are 3 months and like a week or 2, week and a half.
Yeah,
like that.
Something.
And yeah, that's crazy. I think so when I put it into like the app or whatever, it said I was like, I don't know, like 5 weeks and 5 days or something.
I think mine was like approximately the same.
And it guessed the due date of like June 10th or something like that, June 15th, something then. But my actual due date was June 8th, and I ended up having him on the 13th. at 40 in 5 days.
Mine, I don't even remember what my app said my due date would be, but when I went to the doctor, they told me my due date was October 5th. So.
And you had her on?
September 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Can you say everybody hi? Hi.
Now we have both children joining us.
So, what would you say your hardest trimester would have been?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The second is probably the easiest. So it would be between the first and the third. The first being like everything is so, you're like so hyper fixated on everything, like smells, tastes,
yes,
the morning sickness or whatever. And then the third trimester is just like you are just over it. So I don't know. I don't know, and then you're just exhausted the whole time.
Yeah, I would say the third would be harder for me since I had all the medical issues. You know, I had the hypertension.
You're covering it.
Oh, shoot. I had the hypertension, and so I had blood pressure issues.
Yeah, you had complications during your pregnancy.
Yeah, and they also had high heart rate and everything, so they took me a little bit early.
Unfortunately for me, he didn't want to come out, and they made me wait so long for an induction date. Right. And so since I was 45 days, I was literally miserable.
Yeah. Hey. Disclosure, I'm a breastfeeding mom.
So if you don't want to see that, then probably want to click off.
Right.
Just listen to the audio version.
Yeah, so we got an induction date, and I was really sad about it because I did not want to be induced. That was the last thing I wanted. And so I sat and I cried, but you know, those pregnancy hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just, by the time my induction came, I was like, I'm ready. She needs to be here. I need to be done.
Yeah, I think for me, I was ready for an induction like 2 weeks before they actually let me have one, because I was over it. And then obviously he still didn't want to come out even with the induction. So
yeah, so when we got the induction date, and it was 3 days after I quit, I just quit. I told him I wasn't coming back after because I wanted to be home with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went in for the induction. We ate Texas Roadhouse before we went.
Delicious.
I was so nervous. I did not even want to eat. So I ate half of my cheeseburger and I packaged the rest up, and I said, I'm going to eat this after she's born.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Even though the doctors tried to throw it away, and I was telling them like, hey, I want my cheeseburger. They're like, well, we could just order you another one. I said, no, you can't. Like, this is a Texas Roadhouse cheeseburger. And they're like, oh, okay, I understand. Let me go find it. So they lost it.
Oh.
Between the hospital and the birth care center. And we went.
Where's my cheeseburger?
Yeah, basically. They were like, well, we could just order you another one. No.
The hospital food isn't like horrible, but terrible. It's not Texas Roadhouse.
Right. I liked the hospital food. It wasn't terrible. But we went in to be induced, and it was a crazy ride from there, let me tell you.
Yeah. You went in the morning, right?
No, I went in at night.
You went in at night too. Okay.
Yeah, so my check-in time was like, I want to say 7:30.
Mine was 9.
Yeah, I want to say like mine was around 7:30.
And how'd the first night of induction go?
There was only one night. They started Pitocin really early. They did the little Foley bulb thing or whatever the balloon thing is.
Same.
And I really don't even remember. I colored a lot, and I watched a lot of Disney movies while my husband slept next to me, snoring.
Yeah, I had the same. I had Pitocin with the Foley bulb, and I closed my eyes and pretended I was sleeping. That's for sure.
When they started Pitocin, she had to stay on like the heart monitor thing.
Yeah.
So the only time I was able to really get out of bed was to go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
And then they had to help me, put the thing back on. But this little girl did not want to stay on the monitor at all. She was all around. So my contractions weren't like hurting in my stomach area. It was like hurting in my back. It felt like somebody was just like punching the crap out of my back. So that was like the worst pain. And then I got my epidural and I cried through the whole thing.
Really?
I was so scared. I just cried. And the lady was so nice, and it kind of scared me because she was like, yeah, this is my last one. I've been here for 24 hours. And I was like, okay, that did not help me at all. Like, I was even more nervous. I was like, thanks. She's like,
yeah, why would they tell you that?
Yeah. She was like, I've been here for 24 hours, like, no sleep. And I'm like, and you're going to put something into my spine. That sounds great. So.
Did Corey sit in front of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had similar experience.
They had to put, he had to put a mask on and so on and everything. And she did it, and it felt like a bee sting, like she told me it would. And after that,
it was definitely like spicy.
Yeah, it literally felt like somebody was like just stuck a huge needle in me.
And it's like,
And after that, she did that. The lady came in. She was like, "You're okay." I was like, "I just feel like I could have went longer if I would have been able to like stand up, walk around, do what I needed." She's like, "It's okay. You did great." And then I went to sleep.
Yeah, they kind of so after the night of Pitocin and the Foley bulb or whatever, that morning they came and broke my water, and basically, I guess I wasn't really feeling anything, to be honest. And they kept like kind of like, okay, like let me know, and you want to get this epidural, and I'm like, okay, like I don't feel really anything going on right now. And so then, like, finally, like, literally an hour later, she comes in and she's like, I would just go ahead and get it if you're going to get it because we don't know how fast you're going to progress or yada, yada, yada. So you might as well just get it now.
I thankfully was not forced into it. My nurse was super nice. She just was like, she kept asking. Like, every time she came in, she would ask. Because if she wouldn't have asked, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I would have been too scared to say something. So I'm glad she asked every time, but until I got it, it was no, I'm okay. Like, I'm just feeling a little pain. She would bring me an ice pack or a heating pad, and those ones were nice.
Wow. Different experience, for sure.
Different experience, same hospital.
Yeah. I remember go ahead and getting the epidural. I was nervous about it. But I was very calm and all that, and I got it done as well as I could have handled it. And then, it was just waiting. But I feel like yours really just came right along after that.
After the epidural, it literally was like, I can't even remember like timestamps, but I want to say I got the epidural like 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe before that. And she was here by like 9 o'clock.
Wow. Well, I didn't get the epidural until like probably 8 or 9 that morning. And then, and I didn't have Leo until 9:30 at nighttime. So I was on the epidural for 12 hours. And then I had emergency C-section. So.
That's scary. I couldn't imagine going in for a C-section.
Okay, so like how you say like you cried about like getting an induction or whatever. My doctor cried when she told me that I was getting a C-section because of how she's seen me react. And so I guess we could just go into like this, like the right, so like pushing. Okay, mm-hmm. So because obviously that was before I found out the C-section. So I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock. They're like, oh, you're out of 10, yada yada. Please don't break it, Leo. So it was like 4 or 5 o'clock, and they're like, okay, ready for pushing. They get out that table with all the instruments and all the things, and I'm like, okay, it's real. We did some practice pushing, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like not a big deal.
I didn't do practice pushing.
The practice pushing, I'm like, I can totally do this. Like, I can handle this. I am confident. I am ready, okay? And so then we do some rail pushes. I pushed for 30 minutes straight the first time. And then they're like, okay, like nothing was really happening, which they made it seem like not a big deal, okay? So then they're like, okay, let's take a break. As soon as we stopped, I had some severe pain in my back. Like, severe. Like, I was crying. Like, I was, like, begging them to, like, make it go away because I didn't understand why I was having so bad a back pain. So then I'm like, well, let's just go. Let's just keep going. Like, let's push him out because then I'll have instant relief. And so we push. Ends up being 4 hours later.
You pushed for 4 hours?
I pushed for a total of 4 hours.
Oh, goodness. I cannot imagine. I pushed for maybe 30 minutes.
I was ready to keep going. I literally was ready to keep going. And they were truly, my doctor came in and she's like, it's time to get him out. Like, your water's been broke all this time. Like, you know, all this stuff. Like, she's like, we need to just go ahead and do a C-section. I am bawling. I'm a mess. Yeah, my mom's crying. Situation. Gabe's crying. Everyone's crying because we knew that I did not want a C-section as much as I could help it.
Yeah.
And so then we go in to do the C-section, and I have so much pain medication in me. Okay, so much. And then, you know, they make me completely numb, like make sure I'm extra numb. And then they get him out or whatever, and I'm scared, I'm crying, I'm still so emotional through this whole portion. And Gabe's trying to be there for me, and like all that. And at one point, Gabe says that there was blood all over the floor. Like he has scary. Those like booties on, right, over his shoes, and he said like he's stepping in my blood. And
I cannot imagine.
All I can remember is being like, I can feel tugging. I don't feel pain or feel cutting, but I feel like tugging. Like I feel like, I guess like kind of like maybe my body like moving around maybe, and pressure, and tugging. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's not painful. It's just awkward, weird. And then all I remember is them like pulling down the little curtain just a little bit and then shoving this fat baby in my view. Here he is. And I'm like, okay, like I wasn't ready. And then, then they take him over and clean him up, and he's crying, and Gabe's like trying to be there for me because he knows I'm still freaked out. And then I'm like, go be like, you know, like go see him. And he took pictures of him and everything. And that's pretty much all I remember from the C-section room because I went night-night after that. And
oh my gosh.
From what my family says, when they wheeled me back into like the room, that I was night-night, and they wrapped Leo up and laid him between my legs. So there's like a picture of him just like surrounded by whiteness, and that's the blanket. And so yeah, there was definitely a lot of complications, but
yeah, it was pretty easy for me. Like I went to sleep, and I even missed like nurse change, like the shift change. I missed all of that because I was like, after the epidural, I knocked out. My sister and my mom and my husband were in the room. So they were all in there, and they all went to sleep, but my mom stayed awake. And the only thing I remember is my new nurse, like shaking me to wake up and like, hey, I'm your new nurse, whatever. And then a doctor came in, was like, I'm going to be your doctor through this whole thing. Your OB will be here as soon as she can. She got pulled into another surgery. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm literally just like woke up, and people were just staring at me. And I'm just like, what is going on? And they're like, we're just going to check you one more time. And I think they were saying that I was like really close. Like, I have all the texts from that day because I needed those to save.
Yeah.
And
I remember hearing updates. I was working, but constantly listen. Like what's going on? What's going on? Like, let me know.
And it was funny how fast I progressed. Like, it literally went from bam, bam.
Mhm.
Like, you're at a 10, like, you're ready to push, but your doctor's not here yet. And I'm like, okay, so, like, I'm freaking out. Like, I can't feel nothing. Like, right before my doctor came in, I can hear my epidural, like, pumping. I'm like, okay, so I got, like, a fresh dose before I started pushing. I felt nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not
that
one
wonderful?
bit.
That's
Right.
so wonderful.
And so it took maybe 4 or 5 pushes, and she was like, here.
That's crazy.
And she didn't tell me how many stitches I got, but she said I did tear a little bit. And didn't feel none of it.
That's great. I'm so happy for you.
And she cried for the first hour of her life.
Really?
The whole time.
I don't remember the first hour of Leo's life because I was night-night.
Yeah, she cried for like a whole hour. Like the whole time we did skin to skin, she screamed the whole time. But I couldn't get her to latch on me, so I think she was just hungry.
Probably. So I guess I'll go into more depth of the complications. So we definitely, after I was back in the room, there was, I just thought I was tired. And that's why I was just like letting myself chill, letting myself relax. And then all I can remember after that is, for one, Gabe, they were like, I think they were having trouble like getting me to respond a little bit to stimuli and like rubbing and like different ways of like trying to get me to answer. And then all I remember hearing in my ear is Gabe talk about how he said that he was really scared and that he wanted me to wake up. And I remember opening my eyes, looking around, feeling scared. That's when I realized I am not just tired. Something's wrong. And then I went back night-night.
Back night-night.
And then I remember waking up one more time after that. And my boobies are out. And Leo is on me. And somebody has a hold of my boobie. Trying to shove it in Leo's mouth. And then out again. Night again.
I can't believe somebody would try to do that while you're literally unconscious. Like, you're not awake.
I guess you could say they were just trying, because after that, from what I heard of the timeline, Gabe had to give him a bottle after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were just trying because they knew that was my wishes.
Right.
So it is like weird to think about, but like honestly, they were doing their best.
Right.
So then after that, so I was still had a lot of pain medication. And I came to one more time and I looked at Gabe and I said, is my mom still here? I don't know what time it is. I don't know what's going on. There's still people around me.
You don't even know what day it is.
I don't know nothing. And I said, this was God. And I'm serious. I looked at Gabe and I said, is my mom still here? He said, yes, I think so. Because this actually was like the first hour I was supposed to be having Leo. And he's like, do you want her? And I said, yes. And he left the room. After that, I started hemorrhaging.
That gave me goosebumps.
Right after he left the room, I started hemorrhaging. And all I can remember is, this is a lot. All I remember is an arm, like, up in my business, like, all up in there, pulling out clots. And they're pushing on as they're pulling out clots, they're pushing on my stomach.
They pushed on my stomach after, and I can't imagine.
So they're pushing on my stomach and pulling clots out. And I'm screaming. Because I have an incision. They just took a baby out of my belly. I can't remember. All I feel is the tugging and the pushing. But I'm screaming. Because I don't know what's going on. I don't see anything. I can't see. I'm out. But I remember screaming. My mom is right now walking down the hallway, hearing someone screaming and thinking,
it's somebody else.
Wow, somebody's having a really hard time. And then she recognizes.
You recognize your voice.
Imagine Bella in that position and you're walking down the hallway?
I can't.
I can't even feel for my mom in that situation because I literally can't imagine.
That is scary. Like, I don't know what I would do.
I mean, and then, so Gabe doesn't know what's going on. At last
Yeah,
he knows.
he walked out of the room.
Yeah, and so he texts my mom, and because the doctors are working on me, she's not even really able to like talk to them. They're just saying that I'm hemorrhaging, they're fixing it, and I'm fine. So my mom basically is like calls Gabe, and she's like something is going on, but she's gonna be okay. And so Gabe's bawling. He thinks I'm gonna die, and truthfully, they end up finding out that I was continuing bleeding. That it wasn't, they fixed the hemorrhage, but I was still bleeding. Well, then I go all night long the next night. Because remember, I had him at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm still bleeding, like, a lot. So then they take me for a CT or whatever in the middle of the night. Like 1, 2 in the morning. And they find out that they cut my uterine artery in the C-section. And that I'm still losing blood.
Yeah. How does that even happen?
I really don't know. I don't know.
Were they just in like a hurry or what?
I think maybe they cut me too far open. I'm not sure. I don't know the science behind it. And so because the way that they put this device in me called a Jada, and that is what like it like catches all the blood from inside my uterus. And so that way I wasn't actively bleeding out.
Right.
And then that morning at like 7 o'clock, I think, a.m., I got a procedure done to coil my artery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what fixed it. Now, when I went, the doctor that did the coil was very rude to me. Very rude to me. Told me that he had to explain my options, and that it was either get this coiled or get a hysterectomy.
And he had no sympathy.
No sympathy. No. He literally thought it, like, he just was like,
it is what it is.
This is all, or you bleed out and die. Like, he said that. And so I'm literally by myself when he says this to me. I'm literally laying flat. I've been laying flat on the bed all night long. I haven't ate. You know, I haven't. That night I was so thirsty, and I would drink water, and they kept telling me like, be careful, like, you know. And I vomited all over myself because I was so thirsty that I could not like help but
couldn't
like
stop
drinking water. And yeah, so then I got the procedure done. I had to lay there for an hour while they did the procedure, just awake, wide awake, just, you know, chilling. After the procedure, I had to wait another hour laying flat on my back. And that's when my mom called you guys and told you guys kind of what happened, because I was wanting to surprise you guys with the birth, because I did not tell you when I was getting
Yeah, I know. You turned your location off.
Turned my location off. I did everything, and I was going to do like those TikToks where they send, here's the baby. Like, yeah, that slapped me in the face. And then since they went ahead and gave Leo a bottle because I was out of it, he would not latch after that. And I got really, once I had him, I just was not in the right state of mind to even like keep trying.
Yeah, that's a scary moment.
And so that's why he doesn't eat on the booby.
Yeah, that's a scary moment. Well, I kind of had a terrible thing in the hospital happen as well. Again, same hospital. So we did the hour of skin to skin, and then my husband held her for like an hour, and his parents came in and seen her then because they were there all night in the waiting room, just waiting all night.
What?
Yeah, they kept texting, wanting for updates, and they're like, just tell us when we can come up, and so and so and so. And and so we were in the hospital part for like, I want to say 2 or 3 hours. And they were like, well, you can either recover here, or we have a spot over at the birth care center if you want to go up there. And I was like, if I can, I would love to go to the birth care center.
Oh, yeah. I would have loved
the rooms are so much nicer over there.
The postpartum rooms where
We're
I
tiny.
was. Yeah, you've seen it. I'm
so
like,
tiny.
you can barely walk through there.
Yeah, the room that we got switched. I mean, the room we had her in was perfect. It was huge, big, whatever.
Yes, the delivery rooms are gorgeous.
Yeah, and I asked, I was like, so when can we move? And they were like, well, we have this room over there. And I was like, perfect, send me over there. So everybody helped get everything ready, and my day nurse came in. She was like, so can you feel anything? And I was like, no. Like, my right side was way number than my left side because I was sleeping on my right side.
So what time was like this?
I don't know, around noon, I want to say.
Like lunchtime.
And I was sleeping on my right side, so all of the medicine was like swooping to one side. So my right side was like, I couldn't feel. Left side, I could move my feet a little bit. Mm-hmm. So they bring me in this like machine thing, and they put you under it, or put you this thing, and they put them behind you, and then you like have to pull yourself up, and then they put the thing under your butt.
Yeah. Okay. I love that thing.
Yeah, that was
especially
fun
for me because I had no ab muscles.
Yeah.
So getting up to go to the bathroom was horrible.
Yeah. So they put me in there, and then they put me in the wheelchair. She was like, well, we can get another blanket if you want to cover up. And I was like, no, I don't care. Like, everybody already seen my business.
Let's roll out.
Everybody's seen my business already. I mean, there was like, I feel like so many people in my room. Like, I had my nurse, and then I had like a student nurse.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, if you don't want her, it's fine. You can say no. And I'm like, I mean, I'm right here. Might as well learn. So there was her, and I carried her. We went in under.
Yeah.
In this dungeon.
I asked my doctor. I was like, well, because like in the beginning, I was like, so if I do, since we're getting inducted, we had to go to the hospital, and I was like, so how do you get me from there to there? Because she said
there's a dungeon.
Yeah.
They literally take this elevator down to the basement, and from the basement to the birth care center, you go all the way through. Hot as heck down there. Hot. And she... You puking!
Oh,
no. What are you puking for? My pukey girl.
In fashion.
Yeah. I figured she would walk a little bit faster. No. We were going so slow and everything, and my husband couldn't even keep up behind us, but because the cart wasn't working, and we had this thing packed like high. We went through this dungeon, whatever, and we get to the other room, and apparently these nurses like lost their mind because they were like, here, we're gonna stand you up and put you into your bed. The hospital and the birth care center are maybe 5 minutes apart. 5 minutes apart. 5 minutes? I did not feel nothing still. But I was still not even all the way there.
Yeah, they tell you, okay, we can do this.
Yeah, they're like,
here we go. You think you can do it because they tell you, because they're supposed to know.
Yeah,
right?
And so they're like, we're going to pick you up and we're going to scoot you in to sit you on your bed. And so, one got one arm, the other got the other arm, and they picked me up, and I went kaboom right on the floor. Right on the floor. My husband had to put Bella into the bassinet.
I hate to laugh, but I can just picture it.
No, the thing is I laughed myself. Like, I was laughing this whole time. And my husband and I was like, you're going to have to come help them.
Yeah, they won't even pick you up.
Like, I'm not a small girl. Like, I'm not the smallest. So he put her down in the bassinet and came and literally picked me up by himself. Like, kudos to my husband. I didn't know he was that strong. But, picked me up and put me back into the wheelchair. And then they bring this contraption back out. Like, why didn't they bring that out in the first place?
No, seriously.
Why? Like, they knew. But so they bring it out, and then I finally get in bed. And my knee completely scraped up. But I'm still numb. I still have the epidural, so they're like, I'm so sorry.
You're like, it doesn't hurt.
I can't feel anything. And then, a little bit later, the head nurse comes in and is basically just kissing my booty. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you need? Do you need anything? Like, we have extra this. Like, the microwave and stuff are outside and around the corner, and I'm like, you just don't want me to sue you because you dropped me.
I had an incident like that. A business woman, or a Suits, lady came in and was like asking my nurse questions and like asking how I was doing and things like that. So I kind of got that thing too. So for me, I was in the delivery like section of the hospital for over 48 hours.
Yeah.
And then finally they took me to postpartum, and then I think I left postpartum on a Saturday. So I went in on a Monday and left on a Saturday from the hospital. So
That's a long time. I thought my stay was long.
I was going to lose it. Okay, like there were nights where there were nights where so they put those leg things on you and they're like kind of like leg massagers, but to me they're bed traps. Those trap you to the bed, and I just felt stuck in the bed. Like even when I was able to start walking, because when you have a C-section, like you have to basically learn how to sit up again, learn how to walk again, like with these muscles. And then after all of that, like the new nurse would come in, and I was like, yeah, I lost my mind last night, like this anxiety and everything. And they're like, oh, well, you could have walked around outside, or outside of the room or whatever, or you could even stepped outside if you wanted to. And
thanks for telling me.
And I'm like, this is literally the day that they're finally letting me leave. After I had like 2 or 3 panic attacks.
Oh, and all this time you couldn't take care of him by yourself.
I could not take care of him. When I finally started like walking or whatever, then I could like do more, but I could not even sit up on my own. So how was I supposed to hold him? And then from healing, while I'm still trying to get him to latch, it hurts. They're coming in, pushing on my stomach still to feel buoyancy. It's like healing, right? And so every time, and he's not obviously a chill baby. He likes to move and groove, and he's always been that way. So when they would put him on my chest for me to like breastfeed, he's kicking my stomach, and it's just so painful. It's just so painful, unbearable. And so that's another reason why we didn't breastfeed. But yeah, it was sucked.
So we get over to the birth care center, and they ask me like, if I want to be if I want to breastfeed, or if I said I really do want to breastfeed, like that's one of my things I want to do. And so I had what they called inverted nipples, so they were in and not out, so it was a lot harder. And so I had this nurse come and like squeeze my boob into her mouth, and it was painful. Like just her squeezing me, it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, like, but. Then I had lactation came in and gave me a shield to use, and that was even worse. Like that was worse pain than it was just to try to latch her cold turkey. I guess I don't know how that all saying works, but and then my nurse came in. She's like, "Well, do you want to try to pump and try to give it to her?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean that'd be fine." Yeah. I took a bottle to the hospital, the one that I wanted to use. And so she brought in the pump, and I was so excited. I think I remember sending you a picture of my first pumped milk. Like, yeah. It was so exciting, and I was excited. She drank out of the bottle, like, great. And then the lactation consultant came in, and she was like, "No, we're not going to do that. You don't want to give bottles or binkies if you want to breastfeed." Yeah. And I was like, "Well, she's hungry. Like, how am I going to feed her?" "Well, you can feed her off of this spoon." They gave me a spoon. She's like, "Here, just put it on the spoon and give it to her." And I'm like, "How? That's hard." Like, yeah. Like,
they gave me like a little cup thing because I was pumping. I was trying to pump, and yeah, it was the same thing. Like, they're like, "Oh, just keep trying to latch. But here's like this little cup. And it basically had like a little spout, and then just like keep like tipping it in his mouth, and I'm like, throw that thing away.
Yeah, it's such a pain. Yeah. Using a spoon, no.
Is it really gonna make a difference? I mean, yes, you should establish it for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So we were there for, I want to say 2 or 3 nights. I was ready to go by Friday, but they were like, no, you got to stay another day. When my OB cleared me to go home, but the hospital was like, no, you have to stay another day. My OB was like, if you want to go home today, you can. But then my nurses came in, they're like, no, we're going to keep you for another day. And I'm like, but I don't want to stay another day.
Yeah.
I was frustrated, but
I was ready to go as soon as I could walk.
yeah.
But yeah, my healing process was not any different from when I was walking in the hospital to where I was at home. Like, it was still really hard, but
yeah. But when we got home, I was fine. I mean, a little bit of pain, but nothing. Tux pads can't help. Those were one of my biggest things. Like, I needed those.
yeah, I really enjoyed the mesh underwear.
Oh, yes. From the hospital?
Yeah.
Yep, I asked for extras to go home in.
I loved those, and then I used the diapers after I didn't use the mesh underwear anymore. But
yeah, I loved the underwear from the hospital.
yeah. I wonder if you could just like order some online.
Man, my all-time favorite thing from the hospital was the brownies for the lunch and dinner. I ordered a brownie at every meal.
Wow. I would wake up so early that they wouldn't even be serving breakfast. I would literally be waiting for the moment that I could order breakfast. But I always wake up hungry, so that's nothing new.
Yeah, I don't really. Oh, yeah, I did eat breakfast one time because I had French toast and it was kind of trash. But their bacon was good, so
yeah,
living my best life there.
Yeah, I enjoyed hospital food for the most part.
Yeah, same. Like, I think Corey had a cheeseburger from there, and he said it was pretty good. But by the time he got it, it was cold.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the only issues.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind it probably comes from like we were in the birth care center, so it probably came from the hospital.
Oh yeah, it went through the dungeon and everything.
Right. But when we were at home, my husband stayed home for a week, and that was it.
Well, unfortunately, since I stayed in the hospital so long, so Gabe stayed with me for the rest. So I guess you could say, so Gabe worked on that Monday that we went in that night, and so then he had the rest. He took the rest of the week because I think that's what his plan was, to take the week off, but he didn't really have a choice since I was still in the hospital anyways. And then so we got home on a Saturday, and that Sunday was Father's Day. and then he went to work on the Monday, so
dang.
Yeah. And you said you got stitches, right? You said
yeah,
you had
I got a few.
Yeah, and then of course I had my incision stitched, and I did not want to see that. I very like get the ick feeling when I think about them or like felt them. Or now it's okay. I mean, because it's like healed or whatever. And then I had that like uterine artery
on your
like leg. A cover on it, and I was so scared to see what that looked like. It was literally a pin, like a pinhole. Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know how they did that, but
maybe just like a. I don't know.
They coiled it. So when I think of a coil, I think of like a.
Right.
So I don't know. Somehow they fixed my artery to where it's not leaking blood anymore, and it's fixed. And then I had lots of different like people would tell me, oh, like your chances of getting pregnant again is like really
Very
low,
slow.
and this and that. And then I talked to my doctor because I'm like crying, scared, like because me and Gabe always wanted more kids. I mean, at one point Gabe was like, we're never doing this again because, you know, I almost died. And I think he was more traumatized than anyone else. It took him probably 2 or 3 weeks, even after we went home, for him to like look at me without puppy dog eyes. Like I was still going to like die. And I would keep reassuring him, like, I'm okay. And yeah, I was literally over the puppy dog eyes. Like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm here. I'm alive.
Yep. Man. And did you put him into a big car seat or did you use a carrier? Okay, so because there's a lot of like back and forth, I know some people that went straight to a carrier or straight to a big car seat instead of a carrier.
So originally we bought 2 big car seats. We bought 2 big car seats, one for my car, one for Gabe's car, and that's what we were gonna do. And then Gabe was talking about how he felt a little uncomfortable. He felt a little uncomfortable with that. And so
it's scary putting a little tiny baby into this big car seat.
Yeah, and we are like used to taking care of kids, holding babies. Maybe not brand new babies, but
because we dealt with 9 infants a day at work.
So I felt comfortable doing it, and then so Gabe didn't want to, so we went and bought we didn't have a stroller, so we just bought a whole travel system anyways. So that way we had it, and then we bought all the
accessories.
Yeah, and then the clickers for all of it and everything, and then I wanted to switch him out. I wanted to switch him back into the big car seats, but Gabe still wasn't comfortable even after 3 months. So finally at 4 months, I said, "This is it. This is our moment. This is our moment to use big boy car seats." We still have his carrier for convenience if we need to use it, but my next baby, I'll probably still do the carrier.
It's a lot more convenient because I
really wanted a Duna, but I can't afford a Duna. But now they have cheaper versions of Duna. So I might even do that. I might get a swivel car seat. I don't know.
Swivel ones are really nice because then you don't have to
My next baby, I'm gonna spend the money on the luxurious items that I know that I want.
Yeah, so we did the carrier. I wanted to go straight in the car seat, but my husband was like, "That's weird. Like, I'm not."
It is different because most people don't do it.
Yeah,
and what does suck about it also is that when you go places and your baby's so tiny and all they do is sleep and eat, carrying them around. Yeah, really sucks.
And that's why I have a big car seat for her, but I don't want to put her into it because she still sleeps in the car. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't want to get her out of the car asleep, and then what am I going to do with her after?
Yeah, even at 7 months, we're still dealing with that. He does not go back to sleep after that. Right. So, but I mean, it's just something he's also, on the bigger side, so it's probably for the best for him to be in a big car seat. I am so sorry, you guys. He is not having it today.
You're okay, huh? You're okay. You're okay. So that's a wrap on this week's episode of Mamas Need Coffee.
Until next week,
keep the coffee strong
and the conversation flowing.